Shoo! What we doing? What we doing? Killer Hill. Wu-Tang forever. We in the building.
Sopranos don't get a cut, then you can't live. That shit I learned on my first state bid.
And I want to thank everybody for coming out, everybody for supporting. Check this out. We made some shit that I feel is definitely a classic.
Brother Mathematics.
Peace. What's good?
Good. How was Record Store Day?
Oh, Record Store Day was great. It was great. I went up to Rock and Soul, which is a legendary store, New York City. I used to shop there back in the days. So now to go back up there and they moved a couple of times. So even I was there. I remember when they was on 7th Ave. That's when I used to always go up in there, like when they was up on 7th Ave. And I would say that's like late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. And then I remember when they moved a couple of times, but I knew they moved to 37th Street. And that's where we used to have our first Wu-Tang studio in the city at, on 37th, 36th, 37th Street. And I seen it there. So when I went there on Record Store Day, I'm looking on this side of the street, but they moved to the other side of the street. So when I went to the other side of the street, it was nostalgic because it almost reminded me of the 7th Avenue store. So that right there was like, wow, it made me feel better because I went to the other store, it was cool. It just didn't feel like Rock and Soul, to be honest. Yeah. That felt like Rock and Soul. Had a great turnout. Cap came through, Capadonna, did some spinning, and it was a beautiful experience. And from my understanding, what I heard, like we did great Record Store Day, from my understanding, which is a beautiful thing.
So tell the people what you were selling at Record Store Day and why they should go out and cop.
Well, if there's any still left, you better hurry up. It's Black Samson, the Bastard Swordsman. Most of the stores that I know and people reached out to me, they said that they were sold out and they was trying to find it because we only did a limited edition. It's 5,000 copies, but what make it very special is that it's a one of one. So each one is a collector's item. Each one is unique from the front to the back to the inside covers. So when you get your cover or your copy of the album, it's actually yours. It has a bonus track on it that won't be on the album when the DSP drops. Also, I just want to big up my man Stephen Perkins, who did the artwork. It was from an idea that I originally brought the concept to, but he brought it to life. And it's crazy because I've seen a lot of people thinking that it's AI generated, and it's not AI generated. We actually had an artist who came in and drew all these unique pieces, and then, I ordered the pieces. They have some type of technology where they was able to just put them all in and spit out 5,000, actually 6,000 unique albums because in the UK we sold 1,000 over there too. Nice.
So you're obviously graphically minded as the creator of the Wu-Tang logo and other great achievements. I was gonna wait until later to talk about the AI conversation because when I was at the listening session, you mentioned that you used AI in certain parts of creating this album. So since you brought it up, what do you think is the pros and cons of AI when it comes to both graphic art and music?
It's always pros and cons to everything. And I think it's in the way that you use it. If you use it creatively, it could be a great tool. So for the album, how I used it, when you hear the karate skits on the album, that's actually me talking. But I was able to take the AI and put it to different voices. Right. So that's, I think that was creative and a creative way to do it because, karate flicks, for one, now sample clearance is crazy. For two, I can make it say anything I wanted to say. So musically, that's how I used it. I used it, as far as voices in my skits and stuff like that. As far as artwork wise, I think you could use it too. I like with art, I think it's a little different because it could become a cheat code. It's like, it's different from sitting down with the pen and the paper and actually drawing, and drawing your lines. Because when you do it with the AI, it can make the lines straight for you. It can make the circles perfect. And Um, we did tricks for that. Like even circles, I would use cups, bowls, and stuff like that to get the perfect. We use rulers. So, but when you start actually using it and it's drawing the picture for you,
Mm,
that's a cheat code.
mm.
If you're
Okay.
sitting there and you're using the program, you drawing yourself and you using it to color things in, you, you know, you know, I can accept that. Me personally, I'm not. That's just how I use it. I guess it's the way you use it is on you. I'm not here to critique nobody else on how they use it.
Mhm.
But I think that you have to, it's a fine line, even with the video, because I did the video. Mandango is 100% AI.
Mm,
So, and the reasoning behind that, for one, I'm embracing AI.
mhm,
You have to embrace certain things. Because I remember when Serato first came out, I did not embrace Serato. It
mm.
took me years before I even attempted to try it.
Why did it feel like
And
too much like a cheat code?
yeah, it felt too much like a cheat code.
Mm,
But then when I used it and I was like, oh, wow, I ain't got to lug these big records around no more. Then
mhm,
it also had Serato has different ways where you can use it. You can use it where, you know, you're doing shows and it won't jump.
mhm,
That's one mode. Or you could put it on absolute mode where
mhm,
you can do it like regular vinyl. It's gonna fit and it's going to fall where the vinyl falls, or the jump with your needle, if you know what I mean. So you can use it like a turntable.
mhm.
Now I see Pioneer, they got this new turntable controller, which looks dope. I ain't get it yet, but I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
But it looks dope, where you can play your records and then you can use the controller. So yeah, it's how you use it and you embrace it. For the video, I used it because I was trying to get everybody together to shoot the video. And it seems nowadays it's easier to get brothers to do joints or get in the studio than it is to do the video,
Mhm,
only because, you know, Meth is shooting the movie.
mhm,
Cat was on tour.
mhm,
Ray's over here. Deck was, so it was hard to get the brothers together. Like I scheduled the video a couple of times and couldn't get it. So I was looking at the AI technology and I came across Jason Zeta, his work, and I
mhm.
seen something he did, and it was like a movie, and I was like, wow, this is dope. This is incredible. So we reached out to him and we was able to get him and Secret Level to work with us to do the video, which was dope. And they did an amazing job. They made it like theatrical, and I thought it was dope. Now people would say, "Hey, you taking jobs from certain individuals," and I get that too. But at the same time, I'm somebody who also dug in my own pockets and shot little mini movies because I wrote scripts and tried to do certain things, but
Mhm.
if you want it to look a certain way, it takes a big budget.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But I'll tell you this though, for this album, I did shoot like an actual mini movie with actors, directors, gave us the whole thing. That's coming soon. So, it's just all in art form. I'm not gonna get stuck like, oh, I'm gonna just run with the AI. I mean, it's good for content and it's good to do certain things, but then there's certain things that you want to get that actual um how would you say, like, some people might say like that human feel or touch
Yeah,
or
that's what I wanted to ask you. Do we miss a little bit of a cultural, glue there, or moment when, like, imagine if Mighty Healthy didn't start with the Shaolin Rescuers dialogue. And
Mhm.
because part of the fun was that we watch the movie being like, oh wait, that's he used that part in that song. Or you
Right.
get a song and be like, oh, that's from Crying Freeman. Oh, that's from da 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 da. Um, so if you're creating the phrase that you want to make and it doesn't have that same cultural relevance, do we lose a little bit? I understand why you did it, because it is easier to just make your own, but do we lose a little something?
I don't think so, because I don't think people knew it was AI until I told them.
Mm. So you would have had people doing a wild goose chase trying to figure out where's that from and trying to go.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's really it's like really a karate flick that says Poppy Wardrobe style. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So yeah. And you know what? And that's a part of production, and that's some of the fun of it. Just like even chopping beats. A
Right.
lot of times, you know, because you have people that dig in the crates. I remember you had the sample police. They probably still around, like, you know, looking for your samples, trying to
For sure.
break it down. And I see with technology now, they break it down people's samples that
Mm.
they would have never broke down because of the way how our chopping game was. So
Oh yeah.
we chopped and made our own samples, and it
Mm.
was a sport. It's like, let's see if they're gonna find this. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Speaking
mean,
of speaking of that, where did you used to find your first samples? I know RZA said he had a lot in his family, his record collection and stuff, but where were you finding your records? You mentioned, obviously rock and soul earlier, but where did you used to find your gems?
well, that's where it starts at. It starts in a lab. I mean, same thing for me. I grew up in a family that played music all the time. Music was always like my mother, my father, my older brothers and sisters.
Mhm.
My father had a record collection. So did my brothers and sisters. So, and I'm like the youngest male. Only had one little sister, and there was a whole bunch of us. So they had a whole lot of records. I was going through. You know, I took a lot of records from them, but you know, so it starts at home, and also being a DJ too. Being a DJ, we went record hunting. We started, you know,
Mhm.
you go digging in crates for the break beats. I was going to St. Mark's. That was over by Astor Place. That was like a rare find. And for me, like that was down in the village. For me at that day and time, you could find a record for $1 there.
Mhm.
See what I'm saying? Like they had some great discounts on different records, and I remember going in there, coming out with like, you know, going in with $20, and you come out like with stacks of records.
Mhm.
Um, I used to go to the Music Factory on Jamaica Ave because I'm from Southside Queens,
Yeah.
and Mr. Walt from the Beat Miners, he used to work in there,
Shout out
and
to Walt.
yeah,
Yes.
shout out Mr. Wall. He put me on to a lot of records. A
Mhm.
lot of records. Like I remember when you know, I used to go in there from that's the only record store I didn't steal from. I used to steal because I respected Mr. Wall. I went to the Wiz, I used to light him up. I used to light him up. Even when I went down to St. Mark's, that the Astor place, I used to buy some, but I used to, you know, I have dough like that. But
Right.
when I
Right.
went to the music factory, and as soon as I went in, Mr. Ward be like, "Yo, I got something for you," and
Mhm.
like, you know, his ear, he was like, "Yo, you need this, you need that, you need this." And I'll be like, "Cool," you know, I get the stat, and I would pay for it.
Do you remember anything that he suggested? I know it was a long time ago, but
Oh
anything
yeah,
he
but
recommended?
like when the break beats was first coming out the vinyl, and you know when they was first getting them in the store, he used to have them for me, and bring like, yo, check this out, you know, and you know, shout outs to break beat Lou. Mr. Walt put me up on even like the older break beats with the orange joints and some like certain joints that didn't even have no name on it. It was just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Phil and James and all that. It'll just say Phil and James on it. But it had like three records on it and three breaks on one side. The other side was Get Into It, Get Involved. And they did like the Champ mixed with the James Brown. You know, that was like a breakbeat favorite right there in the parks.
Oh my God. So to pivot slightly back to the new project, there's a song on there, Let's Do It Again.
Yep.
Walk me through the creation or recreation of that song and what made you do. I'm gonna let you tell the story of it.
Well, Mighty Healthy, you know, I produced Mighty Healthy, and you know, that's definitely, you know, one of my favorite joints, and it's a lot of people's favorite joints. So knowing what I know now, I wanted to recreate it because I heard a lot of people sample it. I
Mm,
heard a lot of people try to do stuff with it. Some things is dope. I'm not gonna lie, but I just wanted to attack it one more time.
mm,
You know, so I recreated everything on it, like from the you know, the bells on it, you know, to the bass line. I brought in musicians because what I couldn't play or what I didn't play good enough, I
mm,
needed somebody to hit it right there in pocket for me. I recreated the drums. I didn't sample the drums.
mm.
I recreated the drums and everything just to give it that and you know, to give it that same feel, that same fatness of it. And the MCs, they murdered it. You know, you got 38 Special on it. He murdered it. RJ Payne, Willie the Kid. So then when it came to RZA's verse, I said I have to flip it now.
Mm.
because one of my Wu brothers already rocked this beat.
Mhm.
So I had to flip it and do something totally different with it. And that's what I did. And yeah, that's one of my joints on that. It's a nice sleeper on here too.
Has had RZA or Ghost heard this new version?
Yeah, everybody's heard it. Yup, yup,
What
yeah.
was the reaction? What was the reaction?
The react. Oh well, I'm gonna say RZA loved the whole album. Ghost. I didn't get Ghost reaction on it yet because I didn't ask Ghost. He told me my joint. He told me it was dope, but
Hmm.
we didn't actually speak on that yet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Let us know. Hit me on Instagram or something. Be like, yo, Nah Factor. Ghost told me that.
gotcha,
When you
gotcha.
talk to when you talk to him. Nah, that was dope. When I was at the session, there were a lot that I liked, and I would love to talk about every single one, but I know we have limited time. But there was one, Roar of a Lion, features
Mm.
Cool G Rap, and you have an early relationship with Cold Chillin' Records that I don't know if a lot of people remember. Was that where you met Cool G Rap? Was it during those times?
Yeah, yep, yeah. I
Okay,
met Cool G Rap when we went on a cold chilling Blizzard tour, and I was DJing for Jizza when he was the genius.
right.
Um,
What year was that? Around when was that?
I think that was like 1990.
Okay.
I
Oof,
think it was 90.
right.
Yeah.
How I'm not gonna put out your age, but I know I was in high school in
You was in high
1990.
school?
I was like
Yeah.
my
Well,
yeah.
no, I mean, listen, I'm not ashamed of my age, you know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Right.
So in 1990, I was like 19.
Mm. Mm. So yeah, what did that feel like? Because whenever I think about early rap stories, like when I interviewed Craig G, I didn't realize he was like around my age. Y'all all seem like superhuman adults. Like if you were on TV or on the radio, it's like, oh, y'all are out here. But then I find out, wait, y'all was around my age. That was
Yeah.
what was it like being, that age, going on tour? Cold chilling, getting your career started. Like, what do you remember about those times?
Oh, it was great.
Mm,
And I think the reason why, because I think we all started young. We
mm,
all started very young because hip hop was young. It was fresh. And,
mm,
I mean, I remember listening to Rappers Delight. I was in elementary school. My brother's bringing home the tapes, and I'm listening to the tapes, learning the rhymes. Then I'm trying to rhyme. I went, from rhyming to popping and breaking, graffiti. I did all elements of it, DJing. Um, and one of the first dudes that I actually DJ'd for, because I used to do park. I was 15 years old doing park jams and Baisley projects. That's part of my history right there. And one of the dudes I first really DJ'd for, it was a guy around my way. His name was Mr. They called him Mr. X. It was Mr. X and Mr. Z, who was Victor C and Livio G, who was a DJ, and Livio G was a producer.
mm,
Now, Livio G did the P5, and P5, they did the show Rap This
mm,
on 89.1. And
mm,
that was back in like the early mid 80s. They was doing that.
mm,
Um, so for me, when I linked up with them, I thought that was big. It's
mm,
like, yo, I'm rocking with these cats. And Mr. X, he went on a New York City tour. This was probably 88. And he asked me to DJ. So I went out and I DJed with him. We did like a little run all around New York City. I
mm,
thought that was big. So then a few years later, when I did the Cold Chillin' tour, and I'm actually with Cool G Rap, Biz Markie, and going up to the office, you seeing Kane and Shantae. I was like, yo, I was amazed because I was a fan of all these individuals. Like they influenced me. Like when I got a chance to meet Marley Marl, that right there, oh, that was big. That was huge. And G Rap was one of my favorite MCs ever to this day.
mm.
He's that dude. Never had a weak verse.
Yeah.
Always spitting something crazy. So it took a long time.
Mm,
It took about, what I mean, I guess over like 30 years for me to work with him. But just to work with him was, I mean, it was a pleasure. Like even to this day when I hit him up, he was like, yo, yes, let's do this. I was like, yeah, I got G Rap on the joint. It's like, you know what I mean?
that was dope. It was dope. I mean, I don't think there was anything I disliked on the album, but that one stood out for sure.
Thank you.
Mandingo. Um, there was a I think it was it Claudine?
Claudine, yeah, that's my joint. Claudine.
Claudine, whoo, and Meth appears on here like three. I know I asked you about G Rap, so what did it feel like to reconnect with G Rap? And as you said, it took 30 years.
Oh, nah, it felt great, because it's like, we got on the phone, we was talking, we was building, talked about old times,
Mm,
you know, before we actually even started the track. So that right there, that right there was a beautiful thing. And and to this day we still talk. So, I'll be hitting him up like, yo, G, because he's one of the dudes I looked up to. It's like certain dudes like I stay definitely in contact with. I think I stay more in contact with some of the older brothers
mm,
than I do with some of my peers. Because
mm,
Paz K is another brother, like
mm,
me and Paz, but I knew Paz from back in the days too. Me
mm.
and Paz, you know, I don't know if he was originally from Brooklyn, but I knew him from Queens. He lived around my way.
Right.
And my enlightener and his enlightener in the 5% Nation, we got the same enlightener.
Mm,
So we used to, I was a little shorty hanging around. It's just crazy how, like, you know, certain people that you meet because we all had the love for the same thing that eventually go on to do something in music. And it's like, oh, like, down to Onyx. Like me
mm,
and Fredro, we used to play ball in the park almost every day against each other,
mm.
you know? And it's crazy because I seen him just recently and I ain't see him in years. And we just had a crazy conversation about something we ain't talk about in years. Like this happened back in like 86 on a Halloween. And we was out there bugging and wilding.
Where at? Where about?
Oh, it's Southside. He's in
Okay.
Southside. And what it was, we like, you young, you out running around,
Hmm.
you linking with certain crews, you out doing all your stupidness, and then you see another crew of cats and you know them. It's like, oh, yo, so y'all link up, y'all running around. I mean, we did crazy stuff that night. I mean, we turned over cars, we got shot at, we got into a fight behind the courthouse up on Sutphin Boulevard. Cops came, we was jetting. Yo, it's only like five of us that got away and we all walked home together. And Fredro was one of them brothers. Me and Fredro walked. It was me, Fredro, my man Saladin, and a few other brothers. But yeah, nah, it's just wild, like how, you know, just like Buster, another brother. I remember Buster, leaders of New School, before they pop off because we was all in the clubs. We was all trying to get on. And
Mm,
every night it was a different club you would go to because every night had a night. Like, the Octagon was one night, Mars was one night. And we was just going, everybody trying to get on and doing open mic. And, so we would be there all night. Then after the lights come on and all that, we just chilling and talking. And, so it's crazy that, you see that brother nowadays, and it's like, yo,
yeah, he's
he,
got
he
some heat too. He just dropped some heat not too long
yeah,
too.
just dropped some heat. The Dragon, right?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Funny enough,
Shout
you
out
mentioned
Bust.
Buster. When I was listening to the album, he was the one voice that I felt was missing, that might have been missing, like would have been specifically on Claudine. So I want you to talk about Claudine. But when I listened to that, you know how Buster be rapping in that low timber sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like he'd have been great for Claudine. But talk to me about Claudine and creating that beat and getting Meth and Ghost and the whole bus who's amazing on that.
Yeah. Well, Claudine actually really set the album off. That
Mm,
was first joint I actually did. And that was a joint that I did. I did that when my mom's passed,
mm,
you know? And like I said, like music always been in my family and she loved music. Like, music come on, she started dancing and all that good stuff. And she had some favorites. So when she passed, I remember going downstairs into my studio and just listening to music, listening to everything she loved. Not everything, of course, but I was putting on the Solomon Burks and the Jackie Wilsons and the
mm,
Stevie Wonders and the Al Greens and and I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo, I got to do something. I
mm,
just I couldn't just keep sitting there listening. I had to occupy myself, and I said, you know what? Let me make some music, and that's how Claudine came about, like the original structure of Claudine. That was what I made, and when I made it, I knew it needed a soulful voice on it because I know how my mom's like, all that like soulfulness and the voices as well. And I said, let me see, like, because I followed Nicole Bus, but I never spoke with her before.
Mm-hmm.
And she did a dope rendition of Cream.
Yeah.
And I always loved her voice and, her performance since then. So I hit on Instagram and she hit me right back. And I was like, yo, I got this joint. We exchanged numbers. We ended up talking. I sent it to her. She loved it. And she was like, you mind if I do something to it? I was like, nah, I don't mind. I said, let me see what you got. So when she sent it back to me, she came up with that change that's in there, and it was, oh man, powerful. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, yo, this is crazy. This is perfect. So, we talked about the joint some more, and I knew who to get for the joint off top.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost was, I heard Ghost immediately, and I
Sure.
sent it to Ghost first. And before we can even really talk about it, me and him, he did the verse about his mom's, which
Mm.
which is crazy because it was like, wow, it's like we was kind of on the same length, on the
Mm.
same wavelength. And then I definitely heard Meth on it too, and I didn't want it to be like a totally sad song,
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to show the cycle of a woman, of a mother. So Meth came in and he showed Claudine from the a different perspective,
Yeah.
from the perspective of his wife, and the challenges they go through. Ghost came and showed Claudine on a level of the mother, and Nicole Bus was breaking it all down. So if you hear the first verse, and it's one for the lovers, that's the first verse. Two for the ones we lost, that's the second verse. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it just all came together and it was perfect.
You said Claudine set it off, so is that what inspired the title, the of the project, the Black Samson Bastard Swordsman?
Yeah, I guess so because I like for me, Claudine always been one of my favorite movies, and I was raised on the black exploitation movies, and Claudine was a strong black woman, raising kids on her own, and then it's a great story. Curtis Mayfield did the soundtrack, murdered it,
Yeah.
and that just like it reminded me of my mom's. So I called it Claudine, and then the feel of it and the music just felt like that whole black exploitation, and that set off the tone
Mm-hmm.
of what was to come. So for me, I said everything from here on has to be of this level and higher,
Mm. So
and yeah, set the tone. And the karate flicks always been in our repertoire, and we was raised on that. So the blacks between the black exploitation movies and the karate flicks, it was perfect. Even the music in the karate flicks was banging because you knew an ill fight was going to happen when you heard them the tin panties hit, and the flutes and the strings that they was using, like they was killing it. They was killing it.
Channel 5 driving movie every Saturday morning, man. Me and my cousins was glued to that TV. So when y'all came around and started using those, we were like, yo, so
Yeah.
trust y'all did something right bringing those back for us in that way. Um, not to jump around, but you your depiction your creation of the Wu logo was depicted in this series. Do you think they got it right?
that was for TV. You know what I mean? It's like they told a story,
Mhm,
and they told it their way. It
mhm.
was cool, but it didn't actually really happen like that, But it was cool though.
It was cool. What was different?
What was different is well, I could just tell you the story real quick, and then
Okay.
you could decipher for yourself.
Mhm,
Um, like I said, I did all facets of hip hop. I did graffiti. I used to draw. I did RZA's original stickers when he was on Tommy Boy. I
mhm,
did his and then he didn't even want Prince Rakeem. He
mhm,
wanted it to say Wu-Tang.
mhm.
So I did those stickers. I put the sword underneath, the yin and the yang sign. Rolling with Jizz all the time. And when RZA was first coming up with the whole Wu-Tang concept, I remember we just talking, like we used to have talks all the time about, yo, we need something that's just really gonna stand out, something that's different that when people see it, it's like, yo, the Wu is coming through.
Mm.
And I used to draw little sketches in my black book, and brothers used to see it. I did the sketch of the dude with the W, the hand coming out holding the head, and I did a whole bunch of different sketches. But when it came time to do it, RZA called me, and at that time I was working. I was working carpentry. I was working in the city, and
Mm.
he called me as soon as I came in the crib from work. He called the house phone because, you know, back then it was beepers and it was your house phone.
Yep, yep.
So yeah, everybody have a cell phone.
Mm.
So if you had a cell phone back then, you was a drug dealer or a big star or something. The
Yep,
only person
yep.
I knew who had a cell phone back then was Positive K.
Mm.
He's the
Wow.
only one I knew who had one.
Mm.
Um, but he caught me when I came in the crib. I answered the phone. He was like, "Yo, I'm getting these joints printed up tomorrow. I need a logo. Need that logo." I was like, "Yeah, by tomorrow." He's like, "Yeah, by tomorrow." So I told him like, "All right, but you're gonna have to come pick it up because I
Mm.
gotta go to work." So he was like, "Yo, give me the work address and I'll come get it." So I told him where it was at, and it was at 200 Varick Street. I was working at 200 Varick Street. So that I had some chocolate tie from 121 in Suffolk, rolled it in a Philly blunt. I went to the store across the street. I was in 40, living 40 projects at that time off of South Road, 159th Street. So I cut through the buildings and went to 160th to the store. Got me an ice cold 40 of Old English. Came back, smoked my blunt, drinking that, and I sat on the floor because I was more comfortable drawing on the floor. I sat on the floor and I drew. You know, started working. I know it started getting late. I looked at it and I was like, you know what? It got to be this because I got to go to work in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I went to work and around 10 or something like that in the morning, I know it was close to our break time. The elevator, now this whole floor, we was building this whole floor. At the moment, it was really empty except for a few walls we built. And
Mm.
I had like, my little cubby in the corner. So when the elevator thing and the doors open,
Mm.
four dudes came off the elevator. It was RZA, Power, Divine, and Ghost.
Mm.
Looking thugged out. The hoodies, the Timbs, camouflage, all that good shit, right? So I see everybody on the job site, because I'm the youngest on the job site. Everybody kind of like stopped and looked who's this? Who they?
Mm.
But I seen him. I'm like, oh, yo, give me 1 second. So I went to my cubby. I came back with my black book, opened it up, took out the page, and I gave it to RZA. So RZA looked at it, shook his head. He passed it. They all passed it down the line. As each one got, they kind of shook their heads and they said, yo, this is it. And the rest is history after that.
That's what's up. So I have a personal fan question I've always wanted to ask you, and you might be like, "This is corny," but I'm gonna ask it anyway. What did you think when you first heard Most Def's Mathematics that DJ Premier produced?
Oh, no, that's dope. It's
Mm.
dope. I mean, listen, my name is a law of mathematics, right? Mathematics applies to everything,
Mm-hmm.
everything. And it's not mine's to keep.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's for everybody to use and how you use it. So, all praises due. I thought that was big. I still hear it a lot. Like I was listening, I was driving last night and somebody was saying something about, you know, like such and such kicking mathematics and da, 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 da. I'm listening like, all right, that's peace. You know?
As a student and scholar of Supreme Mathematics, it infiltrated hip hop at one point where he had a lot of MCs who were using it. Did it ever feel inauthentic sometimes? Because I tell you, for me, sometimes hearing certain MCs using it sounded weird. Like they would just throw out, you know, Divine Cipher, and it was just like it just felt off, like it wasn't really coming from them. Did you ever listen to it and be like, nah, you don't? Yeah, did it ever happen?
Well, my younger age, of course,
Mm-hmm.
because in my younger age, I was fiery, very fiery, and
Mm-hmm.
is you want to question everybody that, oh, you know math. But
Mm-hmm.
as I got older, you never know what somebody knows, what
Mm-hmm.
somebody appreciate and trying to genuinely get out there. So
Mm-hmm.
on that note, you have to do that. You want to make sure the teachings is right though.
Right.
So you listen for that. It's like, okay, all right, but um, you always gonna have people say things and use things that they don't really have no knowledge of,
Mm.
you know,
And
and
that,
that's just what yeah, that's
that's
just
what was
what it is.
instilled in me. Like, I had, some lessons shared with me when I was in college, and I read, but I was like, this is way beyond me right now. So and I knew how serious the gods were about their lessons, and I was just like, you know what,
Mhm.
I'm a fall back here. But at least being exposed to it, it helped me, gave me a better understanding, of what I was hearing when I heard it. And when I heard conversations, I was like, okay, I understand what they're trying to do. Um, but you got to know, some things you can't do halfway. You know what I'm saying? You got to be in it or not. Um,
Yeah, you're 100% correct. You're
yeah,
100% correct.
yeah,
Cause it's like, you know, for me, I was all in.
of course.
And I understand it's for, like I said, it's for everybody, but everybody may not be able to live it.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's all right.
Mm-hmm.
You live things to the best of your ability, and you take what's good for you and throw away what's bad, and that's with anything.
Mm-hmm.
And really, that's what mathematics is all about. Just deciphering is 9 principles to help you decipher what's good for you and what's not good for you. And as far as the gods of hip hop, we've been there. If you look
Yeah.
at it, whether from Cool Herc
Mm-hmm.
down to, you had Just Ice, you had Supreme Easy AD, like in the code, like a lot of these groups had brothers in it who had knowledge of self, who was 5%.
Yeah.
You know, Rakim came along and really just opened up the gates.
Yeah.
Him and Kane,
Mm-hmm.
they's like, yo, the gods is here.
Mm-hmm.
Brand Nubians and brothers like that, us, Wu-Tang came through, like, yo, um, just really kicked in the door.
No, that's right. So I'm gonna close up because I got like a minute left. But
Okay.
June's the 20th anniversary of the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. How do you plan to celebrate it at all, or what are your thoughts on that project 20 years later?
Dope project. I plan to celebrate it. It's just so hard doing what I want to do for it this year, at least in June, because we have, I'm promoting this album. I'm working on a few projects, and then we going on this tour. So it's going to be kind of hard. And, hopefully before the end of the year, I find a way to do something to celebrate that album.
That's what's up. Well, yo, mathematics, thank you so much for this conversation. I could talk to you for another hour if you let me,
Yeah.
but I appreciate the time that you have given me. And tell everybody to go out to cop the new Black Samson, the bastard swordsman. You do a plug and take us out.
Yeah. Y'all make sure. Listen, if y'all didn't get the 5,000 unique copies, because I think they're gone. I think you might catch a resale or something online. But other than that, I think you're gonna have to wait till April 25th. April 25th, it'll be available for all DSP, all platforms. The only difference is you ain't gonna have that original 101, and there's a bonus song on there too. We got some more surprises coming from the album. Just make sure y'all pay attention and listen out for it. You can follow me on Mathematics Wu, follow the Wu-Tang Clan page, or 36 Chambers page, follow my app, the Mathematics app, and you'll be able to find out what's going on. All right? Black Samson, the Bastard Swordsman, out now.